Hyunwoo Park stood at the entrance of the massive crystal chamber. The building floated in space around a dead star that glowed with strange purple light. He had never seen anything like it before. The walls were made of some kind of clear material that showed the stars outside. Inside, the chamber was huge. It could easily fit 1,000 people. He walked forward slowly. His boots made soft sounds on the smooth floor. Around him, creatures from 47 different worlds filled the room. Some looked like giant insects with too many legs. Others had skin that changed colors like rainbows. A few floated in the air without touching the ground at all. Most of these aliens had brought guards with them, big soldiers with weapons and armor. Some had brought entire armies that waited outside in their ships. But Hyunwoo came alone. He wore a simple black suit with a small Earth flag on his chest. No weapons, no guards, just a briefcase with some papers inside. The other aliens whispered to each other as he passed. He could not understand their languages, but he knew they were talking about him. About humans. About how dangerous his people were supposed to be. "Look at him," said one creature, that looked like a walking tree, so small, so weak. Yet his kind has taken 12 worlds in just 5 years. "They multiply so fast," whispered another alien with 4 arms, "and they never stop. They keep expanding into new areas." "I heard they eat their own dead," said a third creature with glowing eyes. "Savage beasts?" Hyunwoo ignored the whispers. He had heard worse things said about humans before. He reached the center of the chamber where a large circle was marked on the floor. This was where he was supposed to stand. Around the circle, 47 different seats were arranged in rows going up like stairs. Each seat was designed for a different type of alien body. The largest seat was directly in front of him. It was made of black metal and covered in sharp spikes. Sitting in it was the biggest creature Hyunwoo had ever seen. The alien was 12 feet tall and covered in dark green scales. His arms were as thick as tree trunks. His claws were longer than kitchen knives. When he breathed, small flames came out of his nose. This was Vexthar, the Supreme Council leader. His people, the Draconians, had conquered half the known galaxy. They were warriors who believed that might made right. Fear was their favorite weapon. Most species in the galaxy were too afraid to even speak his name out loud. "The human will state his name for the record," said a voice that came from speakers hidden in the walls. The voice belonged to High Counselor Reeve, a neutral species that ran the meetings. "My name is Hyunwoo Park," he said clearly. "I speak for the people of Earth and all human colonies." A wave of murmurs went through the chamber. Many aliens leaned forward to get a better look at him. Some pointed with whatever they used for fingers. "You stand accused of aggressive expansion," said Counselor Reeve. "Your species has claimed 12 worlds in 5 years. You have built military bases on each one. You have refused to join our peace treaties. What do you say to these charges?" Hyunwoo opened his briefcase and took out a folder. "We have settled on empty worlds. We have not attacked anyone. We have not taken anything that belonged to others. If building homes and farms is aggressive, then I do not understand the word." This made many aliens angry. They started making loud noises. Some clicked their teeth, others roared or hissed, a few banged their hands or claws on their seats. "Silence," roared Vexthar. His voice was so loud that the crystal walls shook. Everyone stopped making noise immediately. Even the floating aliens stopped moving. Vexthar stood up from his spiked chair. He was even bigger than Hyunwoo had thought. The Draconian walked down the steps slowly. Each step made a heavy sound on the crystal floor. His claws scraped against the smooth surface. "Empty worlds?" Vexthar said as he walked. "Those worlds were in our territory. We had marked them for future use. Your people ignored our warnings. You built cities where we planned to expand." "The galaxy is big," Hyunwoo replied calmly. "There are millions of empty worlds. Why do you need those specific ones?" Vexthar stopped walking. He was now only 10 feet away from the human. This close, Hyunwoo could see every scale on the Kyu alien skin. He could smell something like burning metal coming from the creature's mouth. "Because they are ours," Vexthar said slowly. Everything in this galaxy belongs to someone. The strong take what they want. The weak give up what they cannot keep. This is the way of the universe. That is one way to see things, Hyunwoo said. But not the only way. The chamber became very quiet. No one had ever disagreed with Vexthar. Before, not in public, not like this. The Draconian's eyes began to glow like hot coals. Smoke came out of his nose. Vexthar stepped closer. Now he was only 3 feet away from the human. He raised his arms and spread his claws wide. The claws were sharp enough to cut through steel. He opened his mouth and showed rows of teeth like sword blades. A terrible smell filled the air. It was the smell of fear. Vexthar's body was releasing chemicals that made most aliens feel afraid. Very afraid. It was a natural weapon that his species had used for millions of years. In the seats around them, many aliens started to shake. Some covered their eyes. Others tried to move backward, even though they were already sitting down. The fear smell was so strong that even aliens who were not the target could feel it. But Hyunwoo did not move. He did not shake or try to run away. He just stood there looking up at the giant alien. His hands stayed at his sides. His breathing did not change. He showed no fear at all. Vexthar leaned down until his face was very close to the human's face. His eyes glowed brighter. More smoke came from his nose. His claws moved closer to Hyunwoo's throat. "Why don't you fear me, human?" Vexthar asked in a low, dangerous voice. Hyunwoo looked straight into Vexthar's glowing eyes. The chamber was so quiet that everyone could hear the Draconian's heavy breathing. The fear smell was getting stronger. Most aliens in the room were now shaking or hiding behind their seats. But the human did not blink. He did not step back. Instead, he spoke in a calm, clear voice that carried across the entire chamber. "Because I've seen what humans do to things they fear," Hyunwoo said. "And I don't think you want to find out what we do to things that try to make us afraid." The words hit the chamber like a bomb. Every alien stopped moving. Even Vexthar froze with his claws still raised. No one had ever said anything like this before. No one had ever threatened the Supreme Council leader. But Hyunwoo was not done talking. "You want to know about fear?" he continued. "Let me tell you about fear. Most species in this galaxy have 2 choices when they face something scary. They can fight it or they can run away from it. Simple. Easy to understand." He paused and looked around the chamber. Many aliens were staring at him with wide eyes or whatever they used for eyes. "Humans are different," Hyunwoo said. "When we fear something, we don't just fight it or run away. We study it. We learn everything about it. We take it apart piece by piece until we understand exactly how it works. Then we build something better." Vexthar slowly lowered his claws. The glow in his eyes grew dimmer. He was listening now, not just trying to scare the human. "My job back on Earth was to study fear," Hyunwoo explained. "I was a military psychologist. I spent 20 years watching how humans react when they are afraid. Do you know what I learned?" "No," one answered. The chamber was still completely silent. "Fear makes humans smarter," Hyunwoo said. "Not weaker. Smarter. When a human is afraid of something, they will work day and night to understand it. They will risk their lives to get closer to it. They will sacrifice everything to learn its secrets." He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button and a hologram appeared in the air above them. It showed the image of a young woman with short black hair. "This is Dr. So Young Choi," Hyunwoo said. 5 years ago, a hostile alien species attacked one of our colonies. They were stronger than us, faster than us, they had better weapons. Most species would have run away or surrendered. The hologram changed. Now it showed Dr. Choi in what looked like a prison cell. Dr. Choi did something else, Hyunwoo continued. She let herself be captured. For 3 years, she lived as a prisoner. She let them study her. She let them experiment on her. But the whole time she was studying them too. More images appeared in the hologram. They showed Dr. Choi taking notes, drawing pictures, and secretly recording everything she saw. When she finally escaped, she brought back complete information about their biology, their technology, their culture, and their weaknesses. Within 6 months, we had developed peaceful contact protocols. Those hostile aliens are now our trading partners. Murmurs started going through the chamber again. This time they sounded different, surprised, worried. You see, Hyunwoo said, humans don't expand into space because we are aggressive. We expand because we are terrified. We are afraid of being trapped. We are afraid of not knowing what's out there. We are afraid of threats we can't see coming. He pressed another button on his device. New images appeared showing human colonies. Every world we settle is not a conquest, he explained. It's a research station. We study the local environment. We catalog every plant and animal. We map every resource. We learn about the climate and the geology. We do this because we need to understand everything around us. Vexithar finally spoke. His voice was quieter now, less threatening. You make it sound like you are the victims. We are all victims, Hyunwoo replied. Victims of our own nature. You are victims of your need to dominate. We are victims of our need to understand. The difference is what we do about it. A new voice spoke from the upper seats. It was old and deep, like wind blowing through ancient caves. The human speaks. Truth. Everyone turned to look. In the highest seat sat Elder Thane. His species was older than most others in the galaxy. They had watched civilizations rise and fall for millions of years. When Elder Thane spoke, everyone listened. The ancient alien was tall and thin, with skin like gray stone. His eyes were completely white, but somehow he could see everything. Wang have observed humanity since they first left their world, Elder Thane said slowly. We have watched their behavior in first contact situations. We have recorded their responses to threats and challenges. Elder Thane stood up from his seat. Even though he was very old, he moved with grace and strength. Every other species in this galaxy follows predictable patterns, he continued. When faced with superior force, they submit, negotiate, or flee. When faced with the unknown, they avoid it or approach it carefully. The elder raised one long finger. Humans do none of these things, he said. They study their enemies while fighting them. They take notes during battles. They collect samples from hostile environments. They interview prisoners not for military intelligence but to understand their culture. More murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens sounded scared now. Others sounded curious. We have classified files on human behavior, Elder Thane said. With the Council's permission, I would like to share some of this information. High Counselor Reeves' voice came from the speakers. Permission granted. Please show us what you have learned about the humans. Elder Thane pulled out his own device. Suddenly, the entire chamber filled with holograms. They showed scenes from all over the galaxy. Humans in spacesuits exploring dangerous planets. Human scientists working alongside alien researchers. Human diplomats sitting down with species that had been at war for centuries. This is what humans do, Elder Thane said. They don't just expand their territory, they expand their knowledge. Every world they settle becomes a center of learning. Every species they meet becomes a subject of study. One hologram showed a human base on a volcano planet. The humans were not mining or building weapons. They were collecting lava samples and studying the planet's unique life forms. Another hologram showed human doctors working in an alien hospital. They were learning new medical techniques while teaching their own methods. The most dangerous thing about humans, Elder Thane said, is not their weapons or their military. It is their curiosity. They want to understand everything. And once they understand something, they want to help it grow. Vexthar was staring at the holograms. His scaled face showed confusion and something that might have been worry. If this is true, the Draconian said slowly, then why do so many species fear them? Hyunwoo smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. Because, he said, we have learned that the best way to protect ourselves is to make sure everyone else feels safe too. A galaxy full of desperate, frightened species is a dangerous place for everyone. But a galaxy full of species that understand each other, that's a place where humans can finally stop being afraid. The chamber fell silent again. But this time, the silence felt different. It felt like the moment before everything changes forever. Elder Thane moved his long fingers across his device. The holograms in the chamber changed and grew larger. Now they showed detailed records of human behavior during first contact with different alien species. "Watch carefully," the ancient alien said. "This is the Proxima incident from 3 years ago." The hologram showed a human ship approaching a hostile alien fleet. The alien ships were firing weapons, but instead of firing back or running away, the human ship was scanning everything. Even while their shields were being hit, the humans were recording the alien weapon signatures and ship designs. The human captain's name was Dong Hyun Lee, Elder Thane explained. His ship was badly damaged. His crew was injured, but his first order was not to retreat. It was to gather as much data as possible about their technology and tactics. The scene changed to show the inside of the human ship. Captain Lee was bleeding from a head wound, but he was still taking notes on a tablet while his crew worked around him. Most species would focus on survival, Elder Thane continued. Captain Lee's crew focused on learning. They studied the alien attack patterns. They analyzed the weapon frequencies. They even recorded the design of the enemy ships. Bexthar leaned forward in his chair. "What happened to them?" "They survived," Elder Thane said. "But more importantly, the information they gathered led to peaceful contact with that species within 6 months. The aliens were attacking because they thought humans were scouts for a larger invasion force. Once the humans understood this fear, they were able to prove that they came in peace." The hologram changed again. This time it showed Dr. So-Young Choi in more detail. She was sitting in what looked like an alien laboratory, letting strange creatures examine her while she secretly studied them back. "Dr. Choi's case is even more remarkable," Elder Thane said. "She volunteered to be captured by the Zephyrian Empire. This was a species that had never made peaceful contact with anyone. They captured aliens to study them, then usually killed them." The images showed Dr. Choi over the course of 3 years. She was learning the alien language, understanding their culture, and figuring out their technology, all while pretending to be just a frightened prisoner. She could have escaped many times, Elder Thane explained. The Zephyrians underestimated human intelligence and physical abilities, but she stayed because she had not learned enough yet. An alien in the chamber with 4 arms raised 2 of them. That is insane behavior. No rational being would risk their life just to gather information. "Exactly," Yenwu said. "That's what makes humans different. We don't always behave rationally when it comes to learning. We take risks that other species would never take." Elder Thane nodded. "The results speak for themselves. Because of Dr. Choi's sacrifice, humans now have peaceful relations with the Zephyrians. More than that, the Zephyrians have shared medical technology that has saved millions of lives across 12 different species." The hologram changed to show a massive space station. It was built around Earth's moon and covered in sensors and research equipment. "This is the Sol Protocol Station," Elder Thane said. "Humans built it after their first contact with hostile aliens. Instead of building weapons to keep enemies away, they built the most advanced research facility in the galaxy." The image zoomed in to show the inside of the station. Thousands of humans and aliens were working together, studying everything from alien biology to new forms of technology. "The purpose of this station is not defense," Elder Thane explained. "It is understanding. Every hostile species that approaches Earth is studied, analyzed, and eventually contacted peacefully. The humans turn their own homeworld into a research laboratory." Vexthar's scales were changing color. They were getting lighter, which meant he was confused or worried. "This makes no sense. How do they protect themselves if they spend all their time studying instead of fighting?" "That's the genius of it," Hyunwoo said. "We discovered that most conflicts happen because species don't understand each other. They attack because they are afraid. They are afraid because they don't know what the other side wants." He gestured to the hologram of the research station. "Every species that has tried to attack Earth has ended up joining our research programs instead, not because we forced them to, but because we showed them that cooperation gives them more than conquest ever could." Elder Thane brought up new images. These showed human teams working with dozens of different alien species. They were sharing knowledge, trading resources, and solving problems together. Humans have prevented 3 galactic wars in the past 5 years, the elder said. Not through military force, but through understanding. They studied the species involved in each conflict, learned what each side really wanted, and found solutions that satisfied everyone. A floating alien near the back of the chamber spoke up. Its voice sounded like music. If this is true, why do we still fear them? Because fear is easier than understanding, Hyunwoo replied. It takes work to learn about other species. It takes time to build trust. It's much simpler to just assume that anyone different from you is dangerous. Elder Thane showed more recordings. These were of human children in schools on various colonies. Instead of learning only about human history and culture, they were learning about every species in the galaxy. Human children start learning alien languages at age 5, Elder Thane said. They study alien psychology, biology, and culture alongside their own subjects. By the time they become adults, most humans know more about other species than those species know about themselves. The chamber was getting more and more quiet as the aliens absorbed this information. Many of them looked uncomfortable. A few were whispering to each other in worried tones. There's something else, Elder Thane said. Something that makes human behavior even more unusual. The hologram changed to show humans in dangerous situations. They were exploring radiation-filled ruins, swimming in acid oceans, and walking on planets with toxic atmospheres. Humans actively seek out the things that scare them, Elder Thane explained. They don't just study safe, familiar things. They deliberately expose themselves to the most dangerous and frightening situations they can find. One image showed a human researcher sitting calmly next to a creature that looked like a giant spider made of metal. The creature's claws were inches from the human's face, but the human was taking detailed notes about its behavior. This is Dr. Taemin Yu, Elder Thane said. He specializes in studying apex predators from hostile worlds. He has been attacked 17 times by various creatures, but he keeps going back to learn more. Why? Asked Vexthar. His voice was barely above a whisper. Because, Hyunwoo said, the things that scare us the most are usually the things we most need to understand. Dr. Yu's research has led to breakthroughs in defensive technology, medical treatments, and even new forms of art inspired by alien predator behavior. Elder Thane showed one final set of images. These were charts and graphs showing the state of the galaxy before and after human expansion. Since humans began their expansion 5 years ago, the elder said, galaxy-wide conflicts have decreased by 60%. Trade between species has increased by 200%. Scientific discoveries have tripled. Medical advances have extended the average lifespan of most species by 20%. The numbers appeared in the air as floating text in dozens of different alien languages. The humans are not conquering the galaxy, Elder Thane concluded. They are healing it. They are teaching the rest of us how to stop being afraid of each other and start learning from each other instead. Vexthar slowly sat back down in his spiked chair. The fire in his eyes had gone out completely. For the first time in his life, the great warrior looked uncertain. If all of this is true, he said quietly, then what does that make us? What does that make me? The chamber remained silent for several long minutes after Elder Thane's presentation. Every alien was thinking about what they had just learned. The floating aliens had settled down onto perches. The colorful ones had stopped changing colors. Even the insect-like creatures had stopped clicking their mandibles. High Counselor Reeves' voice finally broke the silence. The council will take a short recess to discuss these revelations. All representatives will remain in the chamber. But nobody moved. Everyone was still staring at Hyunwoo or at the holograms that Elder Thane had shown them. Vexthar was the first to speak. Human, he said, his voice much quieter than before. Come here. Hyunwoo walked over to the base of Vexthar's chair. The Draconian leaned down so they could speak more privately, though everyone in the chamber could still hear them. My people have ruled through fear for 10,000 years, Vexthar said. We expand by making others afraid to resist us. We keep peace by making sure everyone knows we are stronger than they are. That's one way to do things, Hyunwoo replied diplomatically. But it doesn't work anymore, Vexthar continued. Our expansion stopped 50 years ago. Not because we became weaker, but because other species learned how to be less afraid of us. They found ways to hide from us, or to band together against us, or to simply ignore us. Vexthar's scales had turned a pale green color. In Draconian body language, this meant confusion and worry. We tried to make ourselves more frightening, he said. Bigger weapons, louder roars, sharper claws, but it didn't help. Fear stops working once people get used to it. Hyunwoo nodded. Fear is like a drug. You need more and more of it to get the same effect. Eventually, you can't make enough to matter. Exactly, Vexthar said. But you humans, you found a different way. You don't use fear to control others. You use understanding to help them. From across the chamber, Ambassador Kira Lam spoke up. She was a representative of the Etherian Collective, a peaceful species known for their wisdom and kindness. The humans have been helping us for 2 years, she said in her melodic voice. Our people sometimes suffer from deep sadness that we cannot cure. Human psychologists came to our worlds to study this problem. She stood up from her crystal seat. The Etherians were tall and thin, with skin that glowed softly like moonlight. The humans could have just offered us their antidepressant medicines, she continued. Instead, they spent months learning about our culture, our biology, and our emotional systems. They developed new treatments specifically for our species. These treatments work better than anything we had ever tried before. More aliens began to speak up. A beetle-like creature with 6 arms said, "Human engineers helped us design better cities. They didn't just give us human designs. They studied how our species likes to live and created something completely new." A gaseous alien that looked like a cloud with eyes added, "Human scientists taught us new ways to communicate across space. They learned our energy-based language and found ways to amplify it that we never thought possible." Hyunwoo's communication device beeped. He looked at it and saw an incoming transmission request. "Hi, Counselor," he said. "I have a colleague who would like to address the Council. May I accept this transmission?" "Permission granted," came Reeves' voice. Hyunwoo pressed a button and a hologram appeared next to him. It showed a middle-aged, human man in a military uniform. His name tag read, General Taimin Yu. "Greetings, Council members," General Yu said with a respectful bow. "I am the Director of Human Strategic Defense. I wanted to share some information that might help your discussions." The general gestured and charts appeared in the air around his hologram. "These are our actual military capabilities," he said. "Our weapons, our ships, our defensive systems. I'm sharing this information freely because I want you to understand something important." The charts showed detailed specifications for human technology. Much of it was impressive, but it wasn't overwhelmingly powerful compared to other galactic species. "Humans are not the strongest military force in the galaxy," General Yu continued. "We're probably not even in the top 10. Our advantage has never been superior firepower." He changed the display to show a map of the galaxy with various conflict zones marked in red. "Our advantage is that we see conflicts before they become wars," he explained. "We study the psychological and cultural factors that lead to violence. Then we work to address those factors before fighting starts." Vexthar leaned forward. "You prevent wars before they happen?" "Exactly," General Yu said. "In the past 3 years, we've identified 17 situations that could have led to galactic conflicts. We shared our analysis with the species involved and helped them find peaceful solutions." The map changed to show green areas where conflicts had been prevented. The Rigel border dispute, General Yu listed. The Centauri trade war, the Vega colonial crisis. All of these could have killed millions of beings. Instead, they were resolved through negotiation and mutual understanding. An alien that looked like a living crystal spoke up. "How do you do this? How do you see problems before they become wars?" "We study everyone," General Yu said simply. "We have researchers who specialize in the psychology of every major species in the galaxy. We monitor communication patterns, trade flows, population movements, and resource distributions. When we see signs of growing tension, we investigate." He, showed images of human research teams working alongside aliens from dozens of different species. "We don't do this alone," he continued. "We work with local experts from each species. They teach us about their culture and psychology. We teach them about conflict analysis and prevention techniques." Ambassador Kira Lamb nodded. "The humans trained our diplomats in these methods. We can now spot potential problems in our own territory much earlier than before." Elder Thane spoke up again. "General Yu, please tell the Council about the mutually assured understanding protocol." General Yu smiled. "That's our core defensive strategy. Instead of building weapons that can destroy our enemies, we build knowledge that can help our enemies solve their problems." The hologram changed to show a massive database with information on thousands of species. "Every species in the galaxy faces challenges," General Yu explained. "Resource shortages, population growth, technological problems, social conflicts. We study these challenges and develop solutions." "Then you sell these solutions?" asked a slug-like alien. "No," General Yu said. "We give them away for free. When a species solves their problems, they're less likely to attack their neighbors. A galaxy full of successful, happy species is much safer for humans than a galaxy full of desperate, angry ones." Vexthar stood up again. His scales had turned an even lighter shade of green. "You're saying that humans make themselves safer by making everyone else safer?" he asked. "That's exactly what I'm saying," General Yu confirmed. "It's much easier and cheaper than building enough weapons to fight everyone. Plus, it actually works. Fear-based deterrence eventually fails. Understanding-based cooperation can last forever." The chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as aliens discussed this concept among themselves. Many seemed excited by the idea. Others looked worried or confused. High Counselor Reeves spoke again. "The Council faces an unprecedented situation. We have never encountered a species like humanity before. We must decide how to respond to their unique approach to galactic relations." Vexthar looked around the chamber at all the other aliens. Then he looked back at Hyunwoo. "Human," he said slowly, "what would you do if you were in my position? If your entire civilization was built on fear and dominance, but you realized that understanding and cooperation worked better?" Hyunwoo thought for a moment before answering. "I would ask for help," he said simply. 6 months later, Hyunwoo stood in the same crystal chamber. But everything had changed. The rows of seats were still there, but now they were arranged in circles instead of threatening rows. Between the seats were workstations where aliens from different species worked together on various projects. The biggest change was Vexthar's chair. The black metal and sharp spikes were gone. In their place was a comfortable seat made of smooth, curved materials. Vexthar himself looked different, too. Instead of battle armor designed to frighten, he wore robes similar to what human diplomats used. His scales had settled into a calm, blue-green color. "The morning reports," said Young-Soo Nam, Hyunwoo's new cultural attaché. He handed over a tablet with the latest updates from around the galaxy. Hyunwoo read through the information. The Rigel system had successfully established a new trade agreement that benefited all 3 species living there. The Centauri colonies had developed a new method of terraforming that was faster and safer than previous techniques. The Vega sector had opened its first multi-species university. "Impressive results," came a deep voice from behind them. They turned to see Vexthar approaching. The massive Draconian moved differently now. His steps were quieter, more careful. He no longer tried to intimidate with his presence. "How are the psychological integration studies going?" Hyunwoo asked. Vexthar's face showed what might have been a smile, though it was hard to tell with his reptilian features. "Better than expected. Your Dr. Boram Shin is a remarkable teacher. She's helping my people understand that strength doesn't have to come from fear." Dr. Boram Shin was one of humanity's leading experts on interspecies psychology. She had volunteered to work with the Draconians to help them transition from a fear-based society to one based on cooperation and understanding. "My warriors are learning to use their intimidating appearance as a diplomatic tool," Vexthar continued. "Instead of making others afraid, We're learning to make them feel safe. It turns out that having a powerful ally who promises protection is much more valuable than having a powerful enemy who threatens destruction. The chamber's main doors opened and Elder Thane walked in. Despite his ancient age, he moved with purpose and energy. Behind him came representatives from a dozen different species, all working on the new Universal Understanding Protocol. The morning briefing is about to begin, Elder Thane announced. We have some remarkable developments to discuss. The various aliens moved to their workstations. Unlike the formal, threatening atmosphere of the old council meetings, this felt more like a university research center. Species that had never worked together before were now sharing information and solving problems as teams. Ambassador Kira Lamb floated over to their group. Her ethereal form glowed slightly brighter, which meant she was excited about something. The Zephyrian medical research has produced amazing results, she said. The new healing techniques they developed with human doctors can repair nerve damage that was previously permanent. 3 species have already benefited from this breakthrough. What about the conflict prevention grid? Hyunwoo asked. Young-Soo Nam checked his tablet. Fully operational across 47 systems. We're now detecting potential conflicts an average of 6 months before they would have become violent. The early intervention teams have a 92% success rate in finding peaceful solutions. Elder Thane called for everyone's attention. Let's begin today's session. First, we have updates from the new research missions. A hologram appeared, showing a map of the galaxy. Green dots marked areas where new research stations had been established. These weren't military bases or territorial claims. They were centers of learning where multiple species worked together to understand their local environments and each other. Sector 447 has made first contact with a previously unknown species, reported a crystal-like alien. Initial analysis suggests they're highly intelligent but extremely cautious. The contact team has established basic communication and is learning about their culture. No weapons were involved in the contact? Asked Vexthar. None, the crystal alien confirmed. The new protocols worked perfectly. The unknown species was curious about our research activities rather than threatened by them. This was the heart of the new system that humanity had helped establish. Instead of expanding through conquest or intimidation, the galaxy was now expanding through exploration and understanding. New species were approached with curiosity and respect, not fear and suspicion. What about the educational exchange programs? Elder Thane asked. A floating gas cloud alien answered. Beyond expectations, we now have young beings from 31 different species studying at the Saul Research Institute. They're learning human methods of conflict analysis and psychological understanding. When they return to their homeworlds, they'll establish similar programs there. Dr. Boram Shin's voice came from a communication device. She was currently on the Draconian homeworld, working with their educational system. The transformation here is remarkable, her voice said through the speakers. Young Draconians are learning that their natural intimidating abilities can be used to protect others instead of threatening them. They're becoming some of the galaxy's best peacekeepers. Hyunwoo smiled. This had been one of the most surprising developments. The Draconians, once the galaxy's most feared warriors, were now becoming its most effective protectors. Their imposing presence, combined with their new understanding of psychology and diplomacy, made them perfect for preventing conflicts from escalating. There's something else, Vexthar said, his voice becoming more serious. We've been monitoring the edge of the galaxy. There are signs of activity from beyond our borders, potentially hostile activity. The chamber became more focused. This was exactly the kind of situation that the new system was designed to handle. What kind of activity? Elder Thane asked. Unknown ships probing our outer systems, Vexthar replied. They retreat whenever our research vessels approach, but they keep coming back. Their technology is unlike anything we've seen before. In the old days, this news would have caused panic. Species would have started building weapons and forming military alliances. Wars might have started just from the fear of this unknown threat. But now the response was different. We need to understand them, Hyunwoo said immediately. Send research teams, not military fleets. Use the long-range communication arrays to try to establish contact. Find out what they want and why they're being so cautious. Already in progress, Vexthar said with what was definitely a smile this time. I've learned your methods well, human. 3 research ships are en route to the contact zone. They're broadcasting peace messages in every known language and several mathematical sequences. That should show our scientific intentions. Young Sunam looked up from his tablet. The xenolinguistics team at the Sol Station is working on new communication protocols specifically for this situation. They estimate they can establish basic contact within 2 weeks if the unknown species is willing to communicate. And if they're not willing? Asked Ambassador Kira Lam. Then we wait and keep trying, Yunwu replied. Patience is one of the most important tools in diplomacy. Fear makes beings act quickly and badly. Understanding takes time, but it lasts much longer. Elder Thane nodded approvingly. The transformation of galactic civilization continues to exceed all predictions. Conflict levels are down 87% from pre-human levels. Scientific advancement has accelerated by factors we can barely measure. Most importantly, the average quality of life for all species has improved dramatically. The ancient alien paused and looked directly at Hyunwoo. You humans have given the galaxy something it never had before, he said. Hope. Not hope based on military strength or economic dominance, but hope based on the belief that any problem can be solved if enough beings work together to understand it. As if to prove his point, an alert chimed from the communication system. Young Sunam checked the message and his face lit up with excitement. The unknown species at the galaxy's edge, he announced. They've responded to our communications. They're not hostile. They're refugees. Their home galaxy is being consumed by some kind of cosmic disaster, and they're looking for a new place to live. The chamber buzzed with activity as aliens immediately began discussing how to help these refugees. There was no talk of whether they should be allowed in, or whether they might be dangerous, or how to control them. The only questions were about how to understand their needs and help them find suitable worlds to settle. Vexthar leaned back in his comfortable chair and shook his large head in amazement. 6 months ago, I would have seen refugees as either slaves to capture or enemies to destroy, he said quietly to Hyunwoo. Now my first thought is about how we can help them feel safe and welcome. Fear makes us smaller, Hyunwoo replied. Understanding makes us bigger, big enough to help anyone who needs it. As the chamber filled with the sounds of dozens of species working together to solve a new challenge, Hyunwoo reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy was still vast and full of unknowns, but it no longer felt dangerous. It felt full of possibilities. Vexthar's voice interrupted his thoughts. Human, I have learned something important from working with your people. What's that? I finally understand why you don't fear me.